capitalism, all of the gains in automation, it goes to the owner class. All you have to do is have everyone be an owner, and now suddenly any gain in automation is a gain for everybody. If you grow just one thing, it may not grow as well as if it grows with another thing. A good example of that is called the Three Sisters method of farming.
There is definitely multi-apartment buildings or multi-families that do passive design.
$100 million that they gave to Joe Rogan that they would kind of be out if they breach contract. Is that a bigger number? Or is $2 billion a bigger number?
I don't know, Zach.
It's a tough one. I know.
Really hard.
And maybe comparing numbers is not Jeremy's strong suit. Gotta go kill a Jenny.
I still don't think you should kill her. I don't think it's a good idea.
It's a ghost, dude. Welcome back, everybody, to Bread Theory. So tonight we're doing something a little different. Instead of a longer piece of theory, we're taking a shorter piece so that we can cover a bunch of different authors over the next few weeks here, people that we haven't been able to get to yet. So tonight it is Combat Liberalism by Mao Zedong. And joining me tonight is my lovely wife, Amanda. We also have Zen, aka Trisha, who is off getting water at the moment. And then Shanika is joining us as well. How's everyone doing tonight? Thumbs up.
As well.
All right. So while we wait for Trisha to get back, anything new with anybody? Anything on anyone's mind?
Hey, I wanted to say this. I'm very new to a lot of things as far as like
Sure.
Twitch, YouTube, finding things out, theory. So this is awesome that you guys exist. That's all I can
Oh,
say.
thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm trying to carve out our unique little corner here of the streaming world, and I feel like it's important stuff for people to know all this theory, and it can be hard to get into. Man, like I have not read a paper book in quite some time, but I've listened to a lot of audiobooks. I used to do a job where I would do deliveries, and so I could just put on my headphones and get through an audiobook in less than a week's time usually. So I found that's at least one way that I can absorb this. So trying to help spread that, but then also give some commentary, some different perspectives alongside that, because this stuff is old. A lot of it. I mean, this was made in this Combat Liberalism came out in 1937. So, but a lot of the stuff we cover is even older than that. So it can be hard to understand the perspectives that they're coming from. It can be hard to know where to start if you're just getting into theory, and it can be hard to. Yeah, I mean, they can be complex concepts. So I feel like it's just my duty to help as much as I can to help people understand the theory that we go through.
I think the discussion part is a lot of fun too, though, because it kind
Absolutely.
of helps people like apply it to themselves and like real life that we actually live in.
Yeah, that's definitely the idea.
Cool.
Theory is cool, but it's no good without the practice. Practice is cool, but if you don't have the theory to back it up, you end up fizzling out pretty quick. What you looking at?
I feel like I'm on a short leash.
As
Oh.
Amanda said, theory without praxis is empty. Praxis without theory is blind. You need them both.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's awesome.
Good way of putting it. All right. Okay. We all set to get into the book tonight?
Yep, got the coffee. Good to go.
Very cool. I will first post a link in the chat in case anyone wants to listen to this on their own. We're using Socialism for All, which is a really great channel, probably my favorite of the audiobook channels. He doesn't do just audiobooks too. He does regular video essays and commentary and all sorts of stuff. But the thing that I like most that he does is the audiobooks. He has a very clear voice, and he puts in a little bit of commentary here and there to help people, get past some of the more difficult parts. So.
Cool.
That's a good
So
one.
awesome.
And this is a pretty short one too, so feel free to any of you to ask to pause at any point. We got plenty of time to cover this. So it's only a 17-minute essay. So here we go.
Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. This is being recorded for the January 2021 edition of Socialism for All. This is an audiobook of Mao Zedong's Combat Liberalism from September 7th, 1937. Let's get into the audiobook. We stand for active ideological struggle because it is the weapon for ensuring unity within the party and the revolutionary organizations in the interest of our fight. Every communist and revolutionary should take up this weapon. But liberalism rejects ideological struggle and stands for unprincipled peace, thus giving rise to a decadent Philistine attitude and bringing about political degeneration in certain units and individuals in the party and the revolutionary organizations.
And aren't we seeing plenty of that today in the Democratic Party? They want stability and peace more than anything, more than they want to fight Nazis, more than they want to have actual progress. They just kind of like things as they are. Plus, they have some nice window dressing that they'll make a pretty speech once in a while.
Yeah, they do a lot of performative shit, but there's no real progress happening when they're totally down for, that political cha-cha. One step forward, one step back.
Right.
Gosh. Wow. They remind me of that friend that promises to help you move. And
Right.
to move, they don't, so it's sort of like, okay, so this is my real world understanding of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Pretty much. Pretty
Absolutely.
much. They're okay with the status quo because it keeps them getting paid as fuck.
Right, yeah. It keeps those donors coming in. They don't want to piss off the billionaire class too much. Or people like, what was it? Sheldon Adelson, the billionaire from Las Vegas, or who are some other ones? Well, they always bring up George Soros. I don't know how much influence he actually has, but there's plenty of millionaires and billionaires that they want to keep in the good graces of because they keep the campaign dollars rolling in. And in a system such as ours, a lot of times who spends the most ends up winning. So.
Right. The killer thing is, okay, like, hey, George Soros, if you're watching, I'm still waiting on all these fucking facts going back at least a good decade.
Yeah, me too, man. I'd be living in a much better place if I ever got my Soros.
Wait,
bucks.
fill me in on George Soros. All I know is he broke something.
God.
He completely demolished something. That's all I heard.
He is basically the big boogeyman of the right. Anytime something happens, he got blamed for the entirety of Black Lives Matter. He got blamed for Antifa. He's supposedly this shadowy guy who funds everything that does not conform to right-wing values.
And
Yeah.
dates
Oh,
women
wow.
40 years his junior.
Well, I mean, he probably is. He's a billionaire. He probably is a ghoul of some kind. You don't make $1 billion through, ethical means. But beyond that, what it usually ends up coming down to at the bottom of everything is it's just another anti-Semitic trope. It's like the right wants to believe the Jews control everything. They're at the bottom of everything. And so Soros gets to be their poster child for
Then how did
everything.
Ben Shapiro end up on the right?
Because there are right-wing Jewish people somehow. I don't even...
I'm teasing.
I mean, you're right, though. It does seem like a contradiction in terms, given the history, especially over the past 100 years. But what can you do? People go where the money is, I guess.
The thing is, like, even way back in Occupy, people were trying to say that we were only out there protesting because George fucking Soros had paid us to. And I'm like, where's that money, motherfuckers?
Right.
Still living in the fucking hood on the east side of Flint in a little house, basically paycheck to paycheck. Where the fuck's my Soros checks?
That's right.
That's a sellout accusation that they make against people. It's sort of like, okay, I've said that 1,000 times as well. It's like, I'm selling out so hard because of my accent or some other thing. Okay, where's my check? Why am I poor?
Right.
Right.
The theory
Where's all
doesn't
this
back up.
I'd fucking love to know. It sure ain't hit my bank account. But, they do that to try to undermine the things that you're out there protesting. Like, well, you couldn't really have a problem with this. You can't really have a problem with non-livable wages. You couldn't really have a problem with fucking explosive student debt. You couldn't really have a problem with lack of access to health care or fucking housing. No, you're just getting paid to be here by George Soros, because you couldn't really have a fucking problem with capitalistic exploitation.
Oh my god.
What?
You know, that reminds me. There's this theory. Okay, I never can remember the name of anything, but the theory that people who are poor have some sort of innate kind of tendency towards being poor, like from, I guess, from maybe a 1800. I don't remember, but like this is sort of ingrained in these billionaires, like in the back of their mind. I think, like that theory that you're naturally destined to be poor because your brain is small, type of thing.
Or it's a personality flaw that you chose that. You chose to be poor. The fucking thing is, okay, if working hard actually made you wealthy, then I know a lot of people who worked in the service industries, especially, who are rich as fuck. But guess what? They ain't getting rich as fuck off of serving food and cleaning houses.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I work in landscaping. I work with a ton of guys who work harder than anyone I know. Like, just from dusk, or from dawn until dusk, they're out there building walls, tearing down stuff, tearing up sod, putting down sod, mowing lawns, and they do it for 10 years, 20 years, the same job, and it's not a bad job, but it's also not a great job, and they're also not moving up.
And like they're not getting paid a fair wage for their labor either, for the physical toil.
Yeah,
for the amount
that
they put into
through.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Let alone any kind of safety net for retirement, Those jobs don't offer a fucking retirement plan, a 401k pension, nothing like that. You're lucky you have access to even basics of health insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What is the okay, I don't know how to phrase this question, but noticing that people who do physical labor, as you all have said, get paid like pennies, basically, and then people who do information work or something that all automatically is considered more valuable, and then then you have stock traders who become millionaires. I mean, it's set up that physical labor is, somewhere it was decided that has to be paid the least. How did that happen?
That's a good question, because literally nothing would get built without the physical labor. Literally no services would happen without the physical labor. Every factory would grind to a halt tomorrow if people just.
And oh my God, we
up.
found this out through COVID, right?
Sure.
They just,
Also when John Deere went on strike, John Deere, the tractor maker, went on strike not too long ago. And they were trying to have their office guys go out and run the equipment and stuff like that. It took about an hour before they had to call an ambulance because they had maimed themselves so badly.
Sorry.
Got white collar motherfuckers who don't know how to drive a forklift up in the fucking shop, and shit, they're hurting themselves day one. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If I could have been a fly on the wall for that one, that would have been.
Oh, that would have been amazing. I wish someone took a video of that. Oh.
Right. Okay. Even just hearing about it was fucking hilarious.
Absolutely. But I mean, if you think about it, this is the way our entire system has to be structured. That's the way capitalism has to work. Exactly. The intellectual labor always has to be the ones that own the stuff, not the people that make the cars in the factories. It's the people that own the factories, and that's all intellectual work. Without that intellectual work, with patent law, with just physical holding a deed or a title to a piece of land or equipment or whatever, the entire system would crumble, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, wait a minute, how come I'm doing all the work, but you're getting all the bulk of the pay for it?"
It's because they're the ones that move the money. Sorry. I feel like that's how it is, white collar. You go into a car dealership, right? The guys who are back in the auto shop busting their ass, working 7 in the morning until 5, 10 o'clock at night, fixing cars, go, aren't making shit compared to Johnny Dinglefuck in the front office trying to rip you off and make you pay some asinine amount for a car.
Oh my God.
Because he's got to exploit you.
Right.
Exactly. He's got to exploit everybody else, so he gets the big money because he's doing the mind fuck.
And that's how they
He's a prostitute.
Yeah.
He's a mental exploitative
He's more like a
prostitute.
madam.
He's a madam. Yes.
God.
Yep.
But we don't like prostitution.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because it's. I think literally part of that is because it's a little bit too close to home.
Yeah.
Because if you really started thinking about how we all literally sell our bodies day in and day out to those madams who are collecting the money and deciding where it goes in that company, you might feel a little bit, skeezy about the whole arrangement.
Yeah, might feel uncomfortable, a little bare.
Yeah, a little exposed.
Right.
Sorry, that was a really exciting mental breakthrough for me.
But the thing, selling your body is selling your body, whether it's working on a fucking line or working in sex work.
That's right.
You know?
That's why sex work is real work.
Right.
There's
It
no
is
two ways
legitimate
about it.
labor.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have, the right to a safe work environment
Yes.
and all of these other
All
things.
sorts of protections
Yep.
that would make the job so much safer for
Right.
everybody involved.
Yeah.
It'd be much harder to there are actual sex rings that are very exploited. It's basically sexual slavery. That does occur as well. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that voluntarily do it.
Yep. Who,
But making it legal, making it regulated would make it a lot harder for those other people to operate because people could get it in a legitimate way. And if you're risking breaking the law versus doing it legally, probably going to tend towards the legal avenue.
and also, what happens to those sex workers when they're between jobs, but they might still be doing their work? That's where something like Planned Parenthood is necessary, so that they can get their screenings and get their needs met in that 90-day
Can I
transition.
just say that? Can I just say that if there wasn't a supply and demand, so if there wasn't a demand for everything that they are saying so badly about sex workers and putting them down, well, there's a demand for that. Can we ever talk about? I mean, it's the oldest profession in the world. Can we ever talk about the clients who actually want this shit? I mean, are they ever going to get talked about? No,
No.
Right, because they're ashamed of it.
Because they end up a lot of times being
The
rich and
people that
wealthy
were complaining about it.
politicians. So
shout out to Ashley Madison, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So.
Right.
So,
I mean, hell, that even brings us full circle back to the neoliberal bullshit that, look at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial that, of course, they're fucking exposing her, but they wouldn't allow cameras in the courtroom because they don't want her clientele list to be exposed. Because these motherfuckers, they got hella money and political position, and they were like, we can't have the public knowing who all was using her services.
Just thinking about being the judge in that sort of a case, you don't want to be the one to expose all these people, expose all the richest and most powerful people in the world and all the crimes they've done. Your neck would be on the line immediately. So
But at the same time, it's always you're an adult. You need to be held accountable for yourself and your actions.
It's always
you're an
the double
adult.
talk.
You're an adult.
That's right. It's always be responsible for your decisions until your
You're
mistress
wealthy
needs an
enough
abortion.
and be able to avoid it.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally,
Well,
you can do anything here as long as you have money to pay to get out of it.
That's right.
Yep.
Can I throw a curveball at y'all? I mean, I think
Let's do it.
I got another one. Okay, so remember how let's put this together. I know that somehow companies at some point gained the right to call the company a person. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
Corporations.
Yeah, go for it.
Pisses me off.
Yes.
Pisses me off so much.
So yeah, that's that. I think that's somewhere in there. That's when they start to divide people who are the lower workers, that we're gonna shit on, versus the people who are represented by the company. So each of those individuals doesn't even, they're protected because the company is a person and the company is protected. Bullshit. Legal loophole bullshit.
It definitely is a legal shield. You can say, "Oh, it wasn't me; it was my company."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, it's funny how corporations are people, with the idea of being able to bring them to court. You can sue Monsanto or something like that if they poison you. But at the same time, I've yet to see a corporation go to jail. I've yet to see a corporation serve jury duty. I've yet to see a corporation, have to pay child support. Like,
That'd be so funny.
yeah.
It really would be. But we want to pretend that corporations are people because, lobbying wasn't bad enough already on its own.
Yes.
Add another avenue for legalized bribery.
That's right. That's right.
These scoundrels, dirty, rotten scoundrels.
Absolutely.
Horrible people.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's move on a little bit in the essay.
Liberalism manifests itself in various ways. To let things slide for the sake of peace and friendship when a person has clearly gone wrong, and refrain from principled argument because he is an old acquaintance, a fellow townsman, a schoolmate, a close friend, a loved one, an old colleague, or old subordinate.
Or a tribesman. Or a tribesman.
Or a tribesman, yeah. But that's what I gotta say about that. All this talk of we gotta be bipartisan, we gotta reach across the aisle. We want to have. We don't just want to have a majority. We want to make sure that people are, as many as possible are on our side.
You know what? Just like the right never reaches across. What about treating people how you want to be fucking treated? They're not treating you that way, so why are you doing it to them? Why are you? Oh, come on! We'll give you another $3 trillion for your fucking military if you sign off on this. Like, fuck you! Hold down, bear down. You have the power right now, and you're just fucking squandering it, sitting with your thumb up your ass the whole time. Oh,
that's why I quit calling it reaching across the aisle and started calling it reaching around the aisle. Because the Democratic Party is always on their fucking knees and, handling business in a different way. They start from a compromised fucking position all the time. Every fucking time.
Yep. It's even part of their strategy. It's so that they can send you 100 emails a day saying, this and such a thing is on the line. We need you to donate harder.
Your help. We need your
this
votes.
election is the most important election of your lifetimes. We need you to vote harder, okay? And it's always vote blue no matter who, because that's a real easy way to never have to stand for anything.
Right, and then
or
you
just
end up
make
with
the
Joe
bare
Manchin
minimum.
or Kristen Sinema.
Can I just say that, voting, okay, so obviously it's, you're good to vote or whatever, but practically you have to take off of work. You probably got 3 kids. You probably got to figure things out. And then when you get there, it's like all this paper bullshit. You got to use the right pencil. It's 2022. We have the internet. You literally could have, made it that way, but no. You had to make it the most difficult possible. There's tons of little shit like that.
Right, you got fucked up states like Georgia where if you haven't voted in the last election, you can't vote in the next one.
Voter rules,
Right. So you've got to perpetually kiss ass, or you don't get the privilege.
Yeah.
Like hell, you have a felony. In my book, you should be able to vote. You're still in the system. You're just fucking incarcerated or recently unincarcerated, and trying to readjust to life. Your opinion matters just as much as Britney Spears. I don't care.
Yeah, all this is by design. The country was founded with the idea that rich, property-owning white men should be the ones to decide everything. So for all their talk about, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, everyone being equal, all this stuff, what they really were thinking about was themselves. And it's taken all this time to get it even to where women can vote at all, where black people can vote at all, where they're not allowed to be slaves anymore. But still you see that sort of a mentality that there should be an elite that controls things. So yeah, they make voting on a Tuesday, which most people work on Tuesday. The reason that voting is on a Tuesday always is because during the founding of the country, they were trying to think about the farmers and their wagons. And it would take them from Sunday at church until Tuesday to reach their polling stations most of the time. We have not updated that system since then. We keep that in place. Why? Probably because it's convenient, because it means that a lot of people don't end up voting. A lot of the wrong people, in their opinion, get kept out of the entire process.
Instead of setting up places at people's works, which usually have internet and have computers of some sort, you can just pop over, put in your special code, right?
Or
your
just,
vote code.
yeah.
Or just look at mail-in voting. Look at that's another lie that COVID unveiled. The idea that we can't do mass mail-in voting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can. Obviously, it worked really well. It worked better than they ever thought it would. And was there any significant voter fraud in all of that? No.
Well,
despite
according to the conservatives,
despite every
there
Republican
was just, this
everywhere.
is the most atrocious voter fraud situation that the United States of America has ever experienced, and this whole thing is just a fraud.
Yeah, but
Just
despite
a
all the
fraud. Trump was robbed. He was
You got
robbed.
more. Despite all that,
We're very upset about it.
despite all the hearings they had, and the that poll book was off by over a million voters,
Over 100,000.
100,000, and all the people they drug before different committees, they didn't find anything. They found a handful of Republicans who voted twice, and that was it.
But that's not voter fraud.
Even in investigating the stuff when they were finding like, oh, well, here's a dead person whose vote was counted. Republicans.
Yeah.
And there was ballots going missing from the boxes for collecting the votes.
Oh.
Who took them?
Yeah.
Republicans.
Or they set up fake ones. Now that there was documented incidents, especially in California, they would set up fake ballot collection places that never went to never got collected, never got sent out or anything. It turns out the Republican Party was behind that. Huh.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You sound like a Californian right there.
I didn't do that.
What about George Bush and Baby Bush, we call him. I mean, how did your cousin in another state end up, messing up the money or the numbers and everything, and you accidentally become president?
Sean, we have someone else in the waiting room.
My
Hello.
cousin.
Hello.
Oh, you know what? I did something crazy. So I told you that I'm so new to the technology. I'm literally sitting here not knowing what I'm doing, and I meant to send him the stream so he can watch, but I sent him the stream so he can join.
Well, hey, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Welcome, Sean.
He cool as hell too.
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Hi.
Not too bad. Hello from Florida.
Oh boy.
Yes, it's a state of Ron to Satan.
Hell of a state to be in right now.
Yes, aside from the state of insanity.
Yeah.
But oh, yeah.
Hello.
So yeah.
So tell us about yourself, Sean.
I work in security. I like to draw.
Very cool.
I have 2 boys that are special needs. One is in a home, one is with me. And right now, as it stands, my mom is currently living with me and my oldest son.
Okay.
Been pretty much about as active as I can be, at least spreading information, at least the right type of information. Just try to do my part as much as I can.
Very cool. Good to have you. So tonight we are reading through Combat Liberalism by Mao Zedong.
Okay.
This is, I think I've read through it one time before. It's been a while though. But yeah, wherever it is you're coming in and your theory journey, all opinions are welcome, and it's just a place to discuss.
I have a few things to say on the matter.
Very good.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating that for as long as I can remember, we had now. Let's face facts. Republicans have always left their shitty attitude about the poor and everyone, the poor and just everyone else who's not like them. fucking shine through every single time. But it's like liberals are the best way I can describe how most liberals that I've met. Mm-hmm. They're like that. They're like that kid that wants to try to make peace with the school bully, even at the cost of your trust.
Yeah, that's just what we were talking about in this chapter.
I'll give you everything. I'll give you the sun, the moon, and everything else. Right. And the moment the time of truth comes, oh well, you know, I thought I put that on the back burner. Yeah. You ran your entire fucking campaign on this, dude.
Right? I'm still waiting for any of my student loans to be forgiven.
I'm sure. Hey, as a veteran, I'm looking for. I'm wanting to make sure that everything doggone, you know, that things get, you know, that we get better freaking access between us and people who have disabilities.
Yes.
You know, are able to freaking, you know, get proper access without the goddamn red tape.
Yep. Absolutely.
As it stands, my son, my oldest son, he's going to be turning 16 this year. It's upsetting when I have to be faced with the possibility that if I ever lose a house that I have that I'm wanting to talk to, the people that is taking care of his younger brother about making sure he has a home to stay in. I mean, let's talk about education.
Yeah.
Let's talk about and this is my perspective growing up. Special ed sucks.
She's coming from special ed right now. Yeah, she works in that field.
No. I'm talking about special ed is less. Since the 80s, special ed has been less about trying to help you, and basically that place where you just want to push the unmanageable kids.
Yup.
And that's probably, and I'm probably speaking for every last person in this chat room right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, all it took was one fucking teacher to basically say this child's unmanageable.
Yeah.
The labeling.
Well,
the labeling.
Yes. And my gosh.
And they'll usually follow it up with, you know, that this kid's going to wind up in jail. I had a kindergarten teacher tell me straight to my face, "You'll be in jail by the time you're 20."
Oh, that's horrid.
Of course, and this is to a 5-year-old, mind you. My response to that was, to her was, "Oh, okay. Well, then I hope my dad, my mom, and my stepmom break your kneecaps in." I figure if I'm getting expelled, I might as well make it. I might as well give the principal a laugh, and I did, but I still got expelled and had to get moved.
That's just the shit that makes me so angry, because there is this mentality when you look at SPED overall, it's a lot of black boys.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there are definitely white kids in there, right? They're other kids. But 75% of the time, it is black boys. And then they get fed that same story of like, you're going to jail, you're out of control. Why aren't you taking time to meet baseline fucking needs? Have you slept? Have you eaten? Are you safe? And then you expect these kids to learn, and then you need to be teaching these kids how to behave, how to act. It takes time.
In the
it's
schools
not just
where
that. You know, you first, Seneca. You first, Seneca.
Oh, okay,
sorry.
real quick. I'm sorry. And I had taught. I used to teach ESL and test prep and ACT and stuff to adults and stuff, and a few high school kids. And you actually do go through those little things, like let's say, for example, if there's somebody coming from a country where they have a different standard of personal hygiene, you go through how to go, you know, do different things, and you coach them, because that's your job. That's part of your job, is to acclimate them from where they came from and, you know, to here. And yeah, I'm handling language, but we're responsible. We're forming a community around these people, and that's wonderful.
Yes.
But they're not doing it for the special ed kids, as we can see. Like, what's going on? You know?
Right.
Oh.
And that's such a mentality, of them, is they're like, well, I'm just going to end up in jail anyway, so why try? And it's just like, please tell me every person that told you that, because I'm going to...
I had a teacher that straight up told me, the best thing you can hope for is to graduate high school.
That's sick.
No. I took that and I ran with it. Because you want to know why? Because it's something they could never take away from me. I took it and I made it a point to actually to graduate, because you want to know what? Hey, y'all want to wish the worst on me? Then I'm gonna do with whatever I can. I'm gonna do with what I can. Should I have applied myself a little bit more? Yes, but I was scared. I didn't think I was smart enough. I went literally into high school into a more rounded education.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I was surprised how easily I caught up on history. I was surprised how quickly I caught up in science. Math. Well, let's say sex. Math is terrifying to every last one of us. But it's just I mean, look. I mean, as much as people like my dad will always try to talk shit. Well, if it wasn't for me, shut the fuck up, because I'm still the one who did the legwork. Mm-hmm. It's not about being the rugged individualist. It's about understanding what you can do, and having teachers like Shanika, having teachers like various other people down the pike who've actually reached out, who actually tried to give a shit. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, I got lucky. I went to some good schools, but the mass majority, like all the stuff that y'all talking about, I mean, I can't even, like, how could you talk like that to a little kid?
I don't know.
Anything you say to a little kid, they're going to absorb it anyway. They're going to absorb their environment. So if they're hearing negativity, and back to like how y'all talking about like black boys, I mean, they're getting, they're getting such a,
especially in New York. Especially in Long Island, New York.
Wow.
Every time. I mean, look, the kids that were there didn't need to be there. They needed better teachers, not some screaming bitch banshee that's going to sit there and call everyone queer for freaking getting into fights.
What?
Oh,
yes.
Oh hell no! That teacher should have been fired.
Well, you want to know the really sad part is a good portion of teachers like that get away with it. Let me put it this way: while there are some that do genuinely train to be special ed, the rest of it, it's a tick on the resume. That's the first job they'll offer you. You want to be a special ed teacher, and we'll give you tenure if you put up with just 1 year of these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's how it was in the 80s and 90s. Now from what I understand, some of the standards have changed within the states, but
not by much.
Not by much. No, I mean I've seen some teachers that did great with Gavin, and the teachers that Zach had, not so much. I mean they there were some that reached him, but still,
Your students will get a lot fucking further if you're actually encouraging them. If you're tearing them down and destroying their sense of value and self-worth at 5 fucking years old, what the hell are you setting them up for with that damage? It's abuse.
Absolutely. I can't even. Oh my gosh! And they're already coming from whatever they're going through at home. Like if they're coming in dirty or whatever, under.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most behavioral issues come down to, is the shit they're experiencing at home.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're getting hit on both sides. Not only do they have teachers that don't believe in them, but they have a home life that is potentially chaotic, potentially not able to be as supportive as other families are. Their parents may be having to work several jobs. They may be having to move several times.
or they're living in a community that basically like highly religious community that already sees you as devalued if you come from a broken home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All those
Yeah.
prejudices. So yeah. So not only do we need to fix the educational side, we need to fix the support platform so that these kids aren't getting to adulthood and then all of a sudden they got to play catch up with all their other peers that have had a much easier ride. Like, you know, myself growing up, I grew up in the suburbs. I went to really good schools. I had a supportive family, stuff like that. So my transition to college was not that difficult, but a lot of kids, they're not even considering college at that point because, you know, they're having to get jobs in high school in order to support their family. They're having to make a lot of tough choices about survival stuff, which no kid should ever have to make a choice about.
You know why I went to college? Not so that I can get a degree, so that I can get housing. Because my mom was like, "They got it here."
I actually had a coworker that actually went that route. Oh shit! Hey, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Cool. Thanks for being on, Sean.
Like,
appreciate the conversation.
Serendipity. But yeah.
Well, we'll leave him in the backstage, so if he finishes a phone call and wants to come back, he's more than welcome to. Well, let's move on a little bit more in the chapter. We're only a minute and 19 so far. We've been going for almost an hour. But it's been great conversation so far. So
this is great.
Oh, and thank you, or not thank you, but welcome to James and Natalie. Thanks for being in the chat. Good to see you all again.
Oh, yeah, I see those comments over there.
Fans. Yeah. So here we go.
Or to touch on the matter lightly instead of going into it thoroughly, so as to keep on good terms. The result is that both organization and the individual are harmed. This is one type of liberalism. To indulge in
looks like Sean might be back.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay, cool. All right.
Responsible criticism in private, instead of actively putting forward one's suggestions to the organization.
Leftist infighting, anybody?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. It's a big problem. And yeah, some people are just in it for the drama. They want to have a social club, and you know.
So we're literally talking about the humanity's life. We don't have time for high school hijinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I totally agree.
The thing is, they're, you know, and by they, I mean, like, you know, registered trademark they, corporate conspiracy that runs all of this shit, literally want that divisiveness because as long as the entire real left is fucking infighting, we're not uniting and actually invoking some real fucking change.
Yeah.
People who play into that fucking mindset are doing exactly what the motherfuckers who are holding the power currently want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, best thing I can say is beat them at their own game, but we don't want to. We don't want to lose our soul in doing so.
I agree.
I apologize if I'm too simplistic on the matter.
No, that's okay. Your opinions are always valued. But yeah, for myself, I try to, at the very least, avoid really divisive labels. I'm not, you know, I usually identify most with the anarcho-communist side of things, but I'm not throwing out tanky or anarchitty or not even liberal. I don't get any joy in labeling people so that I can ignore them.
I try. I literally try to point out. I had a talk with a friend who sits there and takes his fair share of pot shots at a lot of like leaders like Mao, you know, Mao, Stalin, Lenin.
Sure.
And I'm usually quick to point out, first and foremost, you do realize that marginalized communities actually made everything they frickin' wrote down work, right?
Right.
from Mao to Ho Chi Minh to yes, even Stalin and Lenin, they made that shit work in their community. Okay, and they worked so damn well that the federal government literally got fucking involved for the sole purpose of fucking them over.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people need to freaking check their damn privilege on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also get beyond the kind of very Western propaganda that we all have grown up with. Is against every leftism to begin with. But, especially against anything Soviet or Chinese or any of that stuff. So I like to take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt. I don't believe the people that are, you know, diehard supporters of any of these historical figures. And for me, it's more the theory and what we can get out of it and apply it to today. That's the important thing anyway.
Well, the thing is that we got to understand that a good portion of these figures hated the cult of personality. The only reason why this cult of personality ever came about was because of the people that followed, either the people that followed them,
right,
or again our tendency to gravitate towards a particular idea of a person.
Right.
How that person makes you feel.
Yeah.
Right. Like the feet. I mean, I'm very guilty of using the word fifis, but yeah, people. Yeah. You know, I remember with the was it Nancy Pelosi wearing
the kente
cloth.
And
the virtue signal heard around the world.
I'm sorry. That was that was.
It was comedy gold. I mean, the shit out of it.
That was some performative bullshit.
Yes.
Yes.
I think everyone saw through that one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No different than like
a lot of people fell for it.
Well, she's from California. What do you expect? They like making a show of everything.
I guess so.
Politicians.
New York, they did BLM on the streets, but weren't about to do fuck all about their asshole cops that are out here profiling, harassing, and killing black people.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
They're not going to actually do anything about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
But they're going to put BLM in fucking white paint on the street.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing as like in ancient Rome, like, you know, in the Colosseum every once in a while they throw you a little bread.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Circuses, sure.
You know,
bread circuses.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Just mindless entertainment, so you don't remember how bad they're treating you. Yeah, getting back a little bit to the cult of personality thing, kind of the way that I look at it is, if you look at most any religion, the most fundamentalist followers of that particular religion don't tend to live in a way that their leader ever said they should. You know, you look at Christians, they don't usually live very Christ-like lives if they're incredibly fundamentalist about it. So
well, if we want to get it, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I try to apply that to any historical figure. And I figure that if someone is that just rabidly stalwart defending any historical figure, then maybe they've missed something about what that person was actually saying in the first place.
Well, the problem is we're literally seeing in real time conservatives do exactly that to Martin Luther King.
Oh, for sure.
Just like the Romans did to Jesus Christ. Hey, right. Yeah, so we're responsible for his death. But we're pretty sure he would have shook our hands and palled around with us.
Oh God. Yeah, and the one quote that they know from him that apparently applies to every situation. It's
look, the only thing that Republicans know about Martin Luther King is that I have a dream speech, and that's literally fucking it.
And that's it. Yeah. Gloss over the civil disobedience, aka breaking the law for justice. Glossing over the socialist leanings, as anti-war as he was becoming at the end of his life, all that stuff gets thrown out the window for one dumb quote that you can then use to pretend that you were a colorblind person, as if that's something that anyone should be or want to be.
But it's also bad because they've also considered a good portion of black conservatives. I mean, there's some black conservatives out there that literally think that he was a Fed. That is actually a thing that I've had to listen to. They said he was a straight up Fed.
He was murdered by the Fed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the FBI was literally, and this is not even. This has been pretty well documented. The FBI was mailing him stuff constantly, saying "kill yourself." You know.
Yep.
They had all his wherever he would go, he was wiretapped. Like, these are not out there conspiracy theories. This is well documented stuff. So.
Yeah.
But nowadays, angry kid that has no self-control on the internet tells somebody to go kill themselves, they're going to jail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the FBI can do it.
Oh, well, I mean, the state always has the special monopoly on violence. So.
Unless it's
J. Edgar Hoover was the biggest fucking kid that there ever was. They just basically handed him a piece of paper and a handgun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he did a lot of work to preserve the white supremacy of his day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
All right, let's get back into the chapter a little bit more, or into the
I'm still here. I'm just going out on patrol.
Sure thing.
So I'm still listening.
All right.
To say nothing to people to their faces, but to gossip behind their backs. Or to say nothing at a meeting, but to gossip afterwards. To show no regard at all for the principles of collective life, but to follow one's own inclination. This is a second type. To let things drift if they do not affect one personally. To say as little as possible while knowing...
You have something you want to say there, Trisha?
Oh my gosh, like I'm literally thinking of people that I know. Like, this is so mind-blowing. I'm just, oh my gosh. What can I say?
Right. And to be fair, honestly, my gesture said it all, but fucking that, that.
Wow.
It's so frustrating.
It is. It is.
Wow.
Perfectly well what is wrong, to be worldly wise, and play safe and seek only to avoid blame. This is a third type. Not to obey orders.
Can I ask about that? When to be worldly wise, are we saying like a person they could help, they could reach out a little bit, but they just, I mean, what? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to get a understanding.
To me, what individualistic first and foremost, yourself above the collective.
Okay. What I got from that was more like someone who is super concerned about international politics, things that are going on in the rest of the world. They always have the right foreign policy, but they don't give a damn about what's going on in their own backyard.
Yeah, that would be the number one for me, that I've seen, experienced, as far as like the person being discriminated against, while what I'm going through isn't as bad as something going on somewhere else, and people using that as a means of belittling my own experiences. I mean, that's a big one. Yeah.
But to give pride of place to one's own opinions. To demand special consideration from the organization, but to reject its discipline. This is a fourth type.
Discipline. Yeah. Can I say something about discipline, please?
Please do.
Yes.
I honestly believe that, and I said it before, and I'm going to try not to rant for an hour, but I honestly believe when I was a kid, and I used to always hear about, read a book, and Mr. Brad Theory, I forgot your name, you said about you listen to audibles, and I also listen to audibles on the book, and it's like you have to put in some effort. And nowadays, people's attention span is just so small. It's like, if what you have to say is more than 3 sentences, they don't want to hear it. They're like, they would rather cut you off 12 times, and that the conversation / argument will go for an hour while they're scolding you for talking too long. And it's literally like, we were speaking before about teachers, and someone in the chat did say, as far as not respecting teachers, and the teacher used to pull out a paddle. I'm not condoning, or I don't have an opinion on that, but I'm just saying, like, the idea that the teacher should be able to give you the information. You should be able to sit still and and go through life and be able to learn things. But so many people are like anti-learning. Like I'm just experiencing, if they hear, James, yep, if they hear anything that doesn't match their current schema, they're going to reject it like right away because of their fifis. So, you know,
what it makes me think of is I've been in so many groups, and there's always the one guy. It's usually a guy who he just likes to talk to hear himself talk, and to show everyone that he's done all the reading, he's looked into all these things, and it doesn't matter if you all have come to a consensus about something. He wants to talk about it just a little bit more, so that he can have the floor again. And he basically is just using the group to boost his own ego and importance.
Yeah.
And those kinds of people can really jam up the works of any organization.
Yes.
To the point where it was even a tactic that the FBI would use in COINTELPRO, where they would infiltrate these leftist groups, and they would say, ask long, open-ended questions. Always talk about, we need to study this issue more and just keep the discussion going endlessly, never decide on anything. And it would basically stun lock these groups. So it's effective.
Kind of like what some of CCO they've been doing.
What? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. What? Who's been doing?
Okay, so I remember when one of my friends got me talking to CPUSA.
Oh, okay.
And I remember they would have the I guess monthly phone conferences, and I asked some relatively like simple questions like, so are we going to be helping out some of these other movements that are coming out, like some of the people that are protesting for Standing Rock, some of the people that are protesting, the BLM protests, are we going to help them out? Are we going to try to bring more awareness? Are we going to have a presence? And I got slapped down.
Huh.
It's like we need to focus more on talking about talking about theory and talking about, it's like theory is all fine and good, but we also have a call to action here.
Right.
We need to consider solutions, not just talking about it.
That's right. And it doesn't even have to be a big action. It could be as simple as doing like a food not bomb sort of thing, just feeding people in the park. It could be
passing information, letting people know that letting people know where they can stay.
Right.
Escape routes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Checking
on people, saying,
Exactly.
"Hey, how you doing?" I'm crazy. I'm crazy about that. I check on you. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? You breathing? You good?"
That's critical.
Little stuff.
That's important.
Letting protesters know, hey, you can stay over at my place to lay low for a bit. And guys, in the coming years, in the coming months, days, months, years, we're probably going to need to start talking more seriously on that.
It's, considering how fast the right wing has turned to trying to roll back absolutely every bit of social progress we've managed to eke out in the past 70 years, that's very worrying to me as well.
I mean, Shanika, you remember those night drives I used to do?
Mm-hmm.
That was basically during the whole Trump thing. That was my practice for, in the event I would have to do something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Give someone a ride, basically lay low, to find back roads, figure out back roads, figure out safe houses, havens, sanctuaries.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
One of those things that we really should have in place already, and people aren't even like putting enough together, to make these spaces available for women in states that already have these fucking bans on abortion, and it's like we need to be able to provide safe haven for them to
safe
go
travel.
to
That sounds like too.
legally access fucking
Secret
health.
taxis.
Yeah.
That's one. Secret taxis. You know,
Yeah.
put together some fundings. You know, for whoever's got maybe like a minivan or something like that, or even just a regular sedan. You know, hey, I'm taking my cousin.
Right.
Yeah, I'm taking my cousin else. Well, look, pal, we just need to get out of here as quick as possible. Can you just not be a dick?
I mean, we need everything. We need to have a whole entire, MASH mobile hospital. We need people that know how to do. I don't know, and just every single thing that is being denied. I was literally just talking to my neighbor, and she was telling me about how her sister was having some complications, and they won't do the surgery for some insurance reason, or saying they have to wait. There's tons of stories about the medical or the mental health or somebody not doing what they needed to do, and people just jump in and say, I got some skills to share. I got something to share. I got a couple of dollars to throw you. I got, a little time to listen. I could, help you with something, and just, give back and make it a community. That's I don't like I said, I'm very quick to say that I don't know this and I don't know that, but the feel of what's going on with people trying to join up and stuff is just wonderful to me,
Mm-hmm.
How about where you can, how you can?
Yep.
I mean, even though we live in a blue state, I worry about.
Yeah.
Can you put the camera back on people? Sorry, I like to see faces when I
I'm
talk.
just trying to find something. So.
All right. Well,
Go ahead.
I'm losing my train. I don't want us to get complacent, because odds are we're going to become that safe space. But are we really going to be able to do it to the best way to help the people coming in? Or are we going to start buying into the drama and making laws that are going to hurt these people, or having to honor things like checking people, administering a pregnancy test before someone enters the state? We really have to be careful about that kind of shit up here, too.
At that point, a lot of people's only option would be to move to that state and fucking stay there, because if they go back home, they could be facing charges.
Right.
Hey, you left pregnant, you didn't come back pregnant or with a baby in tow, so what?
Yeah, what
Right. And this is
Can
not...
they tell anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
We need to build these networks fucking now,
Yeah.
so that people have a safe place to turn for the help that they need.
It's this is going to get far worse before it gets better. And Minnesota is... Most blue states, in fact, are not ideal places for people to move to, because they are so damn expensive. I mean, we're in a fortunate situation where we have a reasonable rent, but that is not the norm for here. So if you're already having to leave on a whim, leave your job, everything else to get to a safe space, a safe state, so that you can continue being a person, being alive, living life, and having control of your bodily autonomy, you're essentially fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to highlight the comment from Wade, who says we need a complete dual power structure, but anything that can continue towards that would be great. And that's what's setting up these mutual aid networks, including getting people to safe places. That's what that's all about. Mutual aid are the building blocks of that dual power that you're right, Wade, we absolutely do need.
Yep, nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
I also just wanted to shout out another member of the Left Signal Boost TV streaming and creator collective, the Poor Pearls Almanac. For some reason their name didn't come up with that, but the link I just posted, I'll put their name in there again. They've been doing a really great series on Skillshares. all sorts of things, from like clothing repair to food preservation to anything you name it. They're covering it or have covered it already.
That's lovely.
So yeah,
That's what's up.
I'll post it one more time.
Making your skills available to the collective. That's revolutionary as fuck.
Yeah.
You know? That's absolutely what we need is more of that praxis.
I thought I had another thought. Also, trying to make sure that we have plenty of people that are capable of helping with rehab. Because the reason why I bring this up, because there is something that a lot of marginalized communities have a problem with. And that's a measure of codependency, and it's not the fault of the community so much as the fault and it's not even the fault of the individual. It's where they're at.
Yes,
it's the system.
Okay, but the problem is with those particular individuals, right-wingers know how to turn them into a liability. Yep. We need to show these people that they are still part of this community, so that they won't turn on us.
Absolutely.
Right-wingers want everything to fall apart. They even want their own shit to fall apart.
Oh yeah, they love someone with nothing left to lose because they're the next lone wolf.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, so the biggest thing the other biggest thing we have to focus on is, rehabilitation. I mean, and I mean actual dyed in the wool. Hey, let's get you fucking clean. Try to help you, give you community, give you a sense of, we actually care about you. Mm-hmm. Not the people. No, I mean, let's face facts. How often have we heard about cops using somebody's drug habit to turn them into a mole?
Yep.
Damn. Can I ask a question? You spoke on getting people rehabilitation, so I am not very knowledgeable about what is really available for addicts. Like I know that in bigger cities they'll probably have a meeting, and there's some places that are giving out like Suboxone, but I don't really know what the status is right now for help for addicts. Is it really that scarce?
Look, I'm spitballing about it because the one thing I have noticed is that especially when you take into consideration of how low cops and even the feds go to get into marginalized communities.
Yeah.
And they literally go after the most vulnerable. I'm not going to call them the weakest link. They are the most vulnerable.
Can I get a quote? But I have to paraphrase it.
Not a problem.
We knew that we wanted to break up the, what was going on with black folks and the Black Panthers. We knew we wanted to break up the white folks when they were doing the hippie thing, because everybody was trying to talk about peace and everything that we're talking about right now. And the government would ever do that said, so we criminalize the weed and we criminalize, whatever was going on with these people so we can disrupt these communities. Did we know this? Yes. Whoever that guy that said that, but I mean, I think y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Weed isn't okay. I'm talking about not just potentially the people that are doing weed, but I'm talking about the people who are into the heavier stuff.
Right.
Too, like meth, like cocaine.
Heroin.
No. I'm saying in the 70s that they're doing the same thing that they did in the 70s.
Yes.
They're still, I wasn't aware of they're still doing it in that same way. Like it's just a pattern. They're just playing that same card.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at MK Ultra. They purposely dosed people with LSD.
Yeah. Without their knowledge.
Without their knowledge.
Exactly. I mean, they did roughly the same thing with Huey Newton with heroin in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's when it comes to criminalizing people for having an addiction, that's an area where they're yes, they're counting on fucking exploiting the fact that you live in such a fucked system and a fucked existence that you are numbing yourself to it, and they're here, let me make this that much fucking worse for you because it serves my wants and needs
Yep.
in this fucking government organization. It's fucked. They set you up.
Yep.
So what is their, I'm not playing devil's advocate, but what is their end goal? Like let's say they do have a person and they're addicted and then they push them to the next level. I guess so that they're just inoperable and they're just sort of like, not inoperable, but they're non-functional, kind of easy to control, I guess.
That's all. You want me to lock this up for you, or are you guys on your way out? Or
Like I said, there's multiple routes that shit can end up leading you.
Right.
If you turn snitch, then you're helping them bust your friends.
That one.
If you don't, you go to jail, and now you get to be nouveau slavery under the 13th Amendment, providing for you to be enslaved if you're in prison.
Right.
Either way, they
can process an hour or whatever. Yep.
I mean, they set up entire communities and destroyed them from the inside out, with the CIA themselves funneling fucking crack cocaine into neighborhoods in the 80s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they could criminalize them, on top of destroying their lives, any savings they might have, anything and everything. Destroyed their family foundations because who wants a crackhead around if they're stealing your shit to go get high? Things like that. Yep. So you were literally left at the fucking mercy of the state.
Yep.
And coke wasn't as criminalized as crack.
Oh yeah,
Nope.
that
Because
was
for
by
some
design.
reason,
Same thing with weed. Weed was for the hippies.
Coke was literally being used by the bourgeoisie. I mean, come on.
Right.
That's right. Again, you're rich enough to get those special privileges.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying the cops off to turn a blind eye.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all that.
Let's see if we can continue a little more.
Okay.
Well,
Only have half an hour left, and we got most of the essay to go. So let's see.
Yeah.
Hi,
To
Nathan.
indulge in personal attacks, pick quarrels, vent personal spite, or seek revenge instead of entering into an argument and struggling against incorrect views for the sake of unity or progress or getting the work done properly. This is a fifth type.
Mm-hmm.
To hear incorrect views without rebutting them, and even to hear counter-revolutionary remarks without reporting them, but instead to take them calmly as if nothing had happened. This is a sixth type.
Yeah.
To be among the masses and fail to conduct propaganda and agitation, or speak at meetings, or conduct investigations and inquiries among them, and instead to be indifferent to them and show no concern for their well-being, forgetting that one is a communist, and behaving as if one were an ordinary non-communist. This is a seventh type.
Apathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's a big one too.
Yeah.
Takes more than just going to the meetings. And actually apply it. It's like it's just like theory. Theory's great. I love theory. That's mainly what I do. But if it doesn't produce any change in you, doesn't promote any action, then it's not enough.
Wow.
To see someone harming the interests of the masses and yet not feel indignant, or dissuade or stop him or reason with him, but allow him to continue. This is an eighth type.
That can be a difficult one because the pressure of social conformity, especially in public, can be huge. So they've done plenty of studies where, they'll have someone who's dressed up as a homeless person, fake having some sort of attack, and people just walk right by. But the minute a business person, someone dressed as a business person, it could be the same guy even, only dressed as a business person, fakes having an attack. Oh, well, all of a sudden that's something wrong.
Yeah.
So that social conditioning is pervasive and it is potent.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
To work half-heartedly without a definite plan or direction. To work perfunctorily and muddle along, quote, So long as one remains a monk, one goes on toiling the bell, unquote. This is a ninth type. To regard oneself as having rendered great service to the revolution, to pride oneself on being a veteran, to disdain minor assignments while being quite unequal to major tasks, to be slipshod in work and slack in study. This is a 10th type.
To me, that is hierarchy creeping back in. It is the idea that since I've done the work, I'm beyond this. I'm worthy of greater tasks and greater things.
Yeah.
And I think that's a dangerous thing because it can lead right back to the same sort of systemic injustice that we're trying to oppose.
It's kind of like a lot of how we saw a whole bunch of people fall off from protests or bringing awareness after the protests were gone. Well, you know what? I pushed along the information. You still have to push along information. You still have to do some form of work.
Absolutely.
And it's not. It doesn't stop when the protests stop. It doesn't stop when when there are laws that try to silence us. If anything, if that's the case, there's be more reason for it to scream even louder.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on.
To be aware of one's own mistakes, and yet make no attempt to correct them, taking a liberal attitude towards oneself. This is an 11th type.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here it comes. I think that I have been apologized to so much by so many people. I think when I talked before about like having difficulty with the stupid therapist, the doctor, whoever.
Yeah.
And they can make all the mistakes in the world. And I know I'm not the only one, but they can make all the mistakes in the world. And you'll get an apology, but you might still be repeating yourself over and over again, trying to be heard, and you better keep advocating for yourself and that whole bullshit. And it's like just the idea that you can actually live in mistakes, but you're covered because you're not going to get fired. Your patient could die, and you're not, that's not going to, have you lose your job because you can make mistakes. You're allowed to make certain mistakes. But if you're somebody who's working one of these jobs where you get paid, just a small wage, the tiniest thing will get you fired because you're replaceable.
Yep. That's kind of like what happens with my job. If you do so much as even start the wrong direction, you're called to the office. I could fire you right now.
Oh, I hate that.
But I'm going to put you on another assignment. Wow.
Yep.
I hate that sort of pulling rank. I just got to dangle that over your head. By the way, I have more power than you, just in case you forgot. Just in case your paycheck was not indication enough. Let me just remind you one more time.
You're expendable.
That's right.
I'm like, you'll never...
I might have to go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Shanika. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank
you. See you later, Shanika.
Bye.
All right. Well, let's continue on.
We could name more, but these 11 are the principal types. They are all manifestations of liberalism. Liberalism is extremely harmful in a revolutionary collective. It is a corrosive which eats away unity, undermines cohesion, causes apathy, and creates dissension. It robs the revolutionary ranks of compact organization and strict discipline, prevents policies from being carried through, and alienates the party organizations from the masses which the party leads. It is an extremely bad tendency. Liberalism stems from petty bourgeois selfishness. It places personal interests first and the interests of the revolution second, and this gives rise to ideological, political, and organizational liberalism.
And that's why these reformist movements, even people like the Squad and so forth, the most progressive that we apparently can hope for in this time, they're never going to get us across the finish line because
No.
always when it comes down to it, they're never going to point the finger where it needs to be pointed at a system of legalized inequality and legalized taking just due to your privileged position.
Gotta admit, they talked a great talk, but yeah.
Yep. And that's not to say that they can't make any good change or any good reform.
Yeah.
It's just that, as we're seeing now with Roe v. Wade, all of that can be on the table at any time. It can all be rolled back in the blink of an eye until the actual system institutes, or until we institute a system that disallows that sort of rollback.
Yeah.
It's always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, the shit could be barred from even being rolled forward in the first fucking place, because look at how many of them ran on Medicare for all, and then went,
yes.
Well, Big Mama told us we couldn't move on that right now, so we're gonna ride this one out, and we'll bring that talking point back next election time and be like, if you elect me again, then I'll really push for it.
Next time, I promise.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's after the point where it's like, tell you what, do it right now, or we drag you out of your fucking office.
Right.
I'm getting tired of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The lack of accountability is astounding.
I send emails like that all the time to like Tina Smith and others. Like, you've been voted in, you can be voted out.
That's right.
Yep.
I won't hesitate, and I won't hesitate to spread my reason why.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, oh, well, we're sorry to hear that, but here's what I'm working on. It's like, I don't care.
Most
I
of the time
told
it's just
you
a form letter.
what I want, what I really, really want, and you're not doing it. Even though you promised you would.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Gotta love how, even if they write you back, they're always like hitting the end of the email with, by the way, would you like to donate to my next campaign fund?
Sure wouldn't.
By the way, would you like to kiss my ass?
Right.
That's kind of my response.
Right? Pick a spot, you're all ass.
Yeah.
My whole entire ass.
Natalie just nailed it. You can't change the DNC. The DNC changes you.
Yeah.
Very well said, Natalie. Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're just a sentence or two from the end here, so let's wrap it up.
People who are liberals look upon the principles of Marxism as abstract dogma. They approve of Marxism but are not prepared to practice it, or to practice it in full. They are not prepared to replace their liberalism by Marxism. These people have their Marxism, but they have their liberalism as well. They talk Marxism but practice liberalism. They apply Marxism to others but liberalism to themselves. They keep both kinds of goods in stock and find a use for each. This is how the minds of certain people work. Liberalism is a manifestation of opportunism and conflicts fundamentally with Marxism. It is negative and objectively has the effect of helping the enemy. That is why the enemy welcomes its preservation in our midst. Such being its nature, there should be no place for it in the ranks of the revolution. We must use Marxism, which is positive in spirit, to overcome liberalism, which is negative. A communist should have largeness of mind, and he should be staunch and active, looking upon the interests of the revolution as his very life, and subordinating his personal interests to those of the revolution. Always and everywhere he should adhere to principle and wage a tireless struggle against all incorrect ideas and actions, so as to consolidate the collective life of the party and strengthen the ties between the party and the masses. He should be more concerned about the party and the masses than about any private person, and more concerned about others than about himself. Only thus can he be considered a communist. All loyal, honest, active, and upright communists must unite to oppose the liberal tendencies shown by certain people among us and set them on the right path. This is one of the tasks on our ideological front. And that's the end of the audiobook.
All right. So I think we'll forego his commentary, even though it is really good, so I encourage you all to go back at your leisure. He usually has some really good perspectives on it, but I'm enjoying our own commentary more at this point. So.
He really nails it there when he says that, liberalism is actually helping the enemy. You need to remember that both Democrats and Republicans are neoliberals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You cannot fucking practice liberalism without feeding those who want to actually fucking oppress you.
Yeah.
You know the funniest term I've heard?
What's that?
The funniest term I've ever heard, a non-woke liberal.
Can't even cop to that. Yeah.
I'm thinking, so you're conservative with extra steps, with extra performance steps, yes?
Like, what do you even got at that point?
I mean, okay, let me put it this way. There is one thing I will advocate for. Radicalizing liberals. Liberals are surprisingly easy to radicalize.
Absolutely.
Okay, especially when you point out the fact that, hey, pretty much the stuff that you're supporting, yeah, that's doing just as much the harm as the conservative. They're just nicer about it.
Right.
Absolutely.
And, I'd say the vast majority of people who call themselves leftists these days, myself included, at one time we were liberal too. So
Yeah.
I think there's definitely hope for converting people. It took a long time and a long process for me to come to anarchism, for me to learn about other leftist ideologies and ideas and really embrace it.
I was pretty much all over the place. When I left the army, I'd probably have to say I was fairly liberal. When I got out the military, I was centrist.
Mm-hmm.
When almost the only thing that kept me from being really conservative at any point was the fact that I kept noticing the racism.
Yes. Yes, that mass slips just constantly, especially when they think no one's listening.
Yeah. The racism, the homophobia, we should be able to tell a person what to do. Not really. Shut up.
Yeah. I agree with that comment, Natalie. Natalie says, I literally can't give all the way up on electoral politics, as to many do depend on the social safety net programs and things like disability insurance that the Republicans love to cut more than most times. Yeah, especially at the national level, I think, harm reduction, making sure an even worse ghoul doesn't operate out of the seat of power, and that's about as good as we can hope for. On the local level, I think there's a lot more opportunity, especially if you're facing, if you want to organize donating food in the park. There's a lot of local ordinances in especially major cities that might go against that. So that is one place where politically organizing can have a real effect and material benefit on people's lives.
Does anyone remember hearing about the time they actually arrested an old guy for donating food to the homeless down here in Florida?
Yeah, I seem to recall that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
I'm sorry. I spoke in this podcast.
Yeah,
it's like
that is.
There's literally people starving, and you're sitting here and debating whether or not this person needs to survive. I mean, that's. Whoop.
Well, and they always come up with some really flimsy pretext, like, oh, well, we have food safety standards for a reason, stuff like that. Well, again, if it's between risking, potential food poisoning or something like that, and literally starving, well, which one are you going to choose?
I'd rather be stuck on the toilet.
Hours.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. I'd rather be stuck on the damn toilet because of food poisoning than freaking dying when I knew I could have eaten something. Sorry.
Right. Absolutely. And of course, none of that stuff ever happens. Like, there's been food not bombs in operations for decades, and you know they would be having that all over the news if they ever sickened a single person.
Yep. Which state was it that started pouring bleach on donated food?
Oh, I heard about that too. And yeah, and there's also grocery stores where that's their store policy is to just dump bleach in the dumpsters. Because they don't want people making a mess. It's like, these people are just trying to survive. And a lot of homeless people have mental health issues at the same time. They may not always have the best awareness of their surroundings or what they're causing to everyone, but I guarantee you they're not doing it just to spite you.
Yeah.
Right.
Also,
if you
like-
don't want to mess, maybe set up a free fridge outside that if there's something that you're supposed to remove from stock that day, put it in the free fridge out front so people can just grab the food and not have to dig through your fucking garbage for it. Problem solved.
And
Hey, that actually sounds pretty awesome.
That does sound pretty awesome. And that's another place where, you know, sometimes there are city ordinances against doing that sort of thing. Or like you have to keep it at a certain temperature, especially if it's frozen or refrigerated food. Yep. And otherwise you have to literally destroy it. So, you know, trying to get those ordinances repealed could be one way that you can actually make a change electorally and through local political pressure campaigns.
Right. Get around that with the whole, well, we're going to set up a free fridge. That way it is kept at proper temps and isn't spoiling. And, you know, anything that's still there when we come out to bring stuff at the end of tomorrow, you know, then we can toss anything that, you know, isn't still safe to eat. But if we leave it in that fridge for a day for people to have the option.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And maybe your local municipality, if it's a large enough city like Minneapolis, has its own local sales tax. So maybe you give a business a break on local sales tax or whatever sort of local taxes they may pay if they donate their unused food rather than letting it go to waste. You know,
has anyone broached the whole thing about a community garden or no?
We have not talked about that tonight yet, but
okay.
Yeah, that could. There's also places that somehow have ordinances against that sort of a thing.
That doesn't make any damn sense.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Usually it's neighbors that get together and it's a bunch of NIMBYs who are like, oh, this looks weedy. It's gonna get weeds in my yard and it's gonna lower my property values and I don't want vagrants hanging out around. On and on and on. It's basically just we don't like the poor, we don't want to help them at all. But that can be combated locally with a large enough movement too.
I would remind some of those people, hey, if you want to keep having problems with the poor, we can always eat the rich.
I'll bring the barbecue.
We could always turn you into an impromptu luau if you want to keep that shit up.
Oh, and you know the rich would make the softest, most supple cuts of meat ever experienced, never having done a day of labor in their life.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, but they also have other chemicals too, and I don't want to die from a heart attack.
Yeah, that's true too.
Coke-laced millionaire. Yeah, that's a bad way to die.
Time for a long pig barbecue.
Oh, that's great.
Sweet.
Anybody up for a pig roast? Got a big enough skewer?
I got the pineapples.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Probably gonna have to feed them a lot because a lot of them are pretty skinny.
It's true.
They're not gonna have that nice marbling.
Damn. Yeah, it needs it to smoke, right?
Yeah.
Could just wrap them in bacon
Mm.
or something
There's
else.
always that option. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Long and sharp pig together at last.
Right. Everything's better with bacon.
That's right.
I'll say it again though. There's probably a lot of Botox there, a lot of
Yeah.
plastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You might want to keep clear of that.
That's right.
No one wants to die of botulism, guys.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. Food poisoning, fine. Botulism, we have a problem. Boundaries.
Wade read my mind. I was about to say free-range vegans. Okay, that's how we get them edible. Is get them on a vegan diet for a while, and then just wrap them in bacon.
Actually, no. You know what? Honestly, I think we should do when push comes to shove, let them live in the position. Let them live in the conditions they forced other people to live in.
Mm-hmm.
That
Sure.
Absolutely.
Like, why don't you live it for a bit and see how much you got to say about that?
Yep. Yep.
I swear, if we start with even just one billionaire, eat one Elon Bezos,
Makes such a difference to the planet. Yeah.
Yes, we would do more for humanity than any of their fucking quote-unquote charitable donations that they make for the fucking tax break.
Oh, charity. Yeah. Legalized money laundering is what most charities are.
Bezos riding a penis-shaped dick in the sky.
Oh, God. That was such a joke.
Oh, God.
God, it made me think of Dr. Evil, Mini-Me, and her Dick Rocket.
You picked him, get off the rocket. Hello.
I never thought I'd see the day when Austin Powers predicted the future.
I know, right? But here we are. Oh, that Bezos, he cannot wait to launch every poor person into space to work on his space industries. He's like, oh, there's so much pollution on the Earth. Let's just put it all in space with workers. It's like, so we get to go brave the space pollution and not even get to live on the planet anymore? Will you guys just turn it into one big sandals resort across the entire planet? Yeah, that sounds pretty great, Jeff. Let's get on board with that.
Mr. Bezos, I'd like you to test out my catapult, please.
Yeah. Come up with a new way to get you into low Earth orbit.
Sure you'd love
it. Hey, Mr. Musk, we were wondering if you could possibly launch yourself into space in one of your shitty cars.
Yeah, there you go. The ultimate ad campaign.
It transforms from a car to a rocket.
To a coffin.
To a coffin. It's a three-way.
Transforms from car to coffin to a flaming ball across the sky.
Oh, what a beautiful sight that would be.
Take that, Transformers. You thought you were just limited to the 80s.
I am Optimus Prime and I approve this message.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Well, this is a great book. I'm glad we're getting into more shorter theory, because it is nice to be able to just get in, get out, and digest the message. And I've been doing a lot of longer form books up until now, and it's great. It's been great to go through the theory, but it's like if you haven't read the last 18 chapters, sometimes it can be hard to catch up. So I like this format. I think I'm definitely going to stick with it for the Wednesday streams for the foreseeable future.
I like Mao because it touched on both sides. It didn't just
Yeah. It definitely pulled the veneer off of how progressive liberals actually are.
And that's another thing we're gonna have to check for before we eat those, Rich. We gotta get the veneers off the teeth.
Oh.
Yeah, that too.
It's a lot of prep work.
With any game, you have to clean the carcass first before you cook it.
Remove the veneers. Remove the Botox.
Remove the
implants. Hey, look, with the right butcher, they can cut any of that away, right?
That's true. That's true.
Very true.
Should ask the cottage butcher at the farmer's market. Can you cut this up for me?
What the fuck is this? Oh, don't worry, it's long pork.
It's okay.
Just needed to fit in my freezer.
Well, hey, you know, look, we can always watch Hannibal and get pointers.
There you go. To serve man.
Some fava beans and a Chianti.
Nice Chianti.
Had to. I fucking love Hannibal. He's such a demented motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
And you know,
It was one of my favorite books as a kid. My aunt gave me that book, like, you're gonna enjoy this, and I did. I was like, fuck yeah.
You know what? That's what we need. We need a serial killer cannibal movie about a guy that only hunts down rich people, and yeah, it's just that it would never get made by those same rich people, but it could be a good hit independent film.
You know, I think all these monster movies and books and things really just show us who the real monsters actually are. Because look at, like, Frankenstein. That's, like, my favorite story of all time. He just wanted a friend.
Yep.
That's all he wanted. And he wouldn't give it to him, so, you know.
So he murdered everybody. He didn't mean to. He didn't know what he was doing.
He's like, if I can't have a friend, you ain't having no friends.
Yeah.
Right. Fuck you and your friends.
Yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein is the ultimate deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Change my mind.
That's true. That's true.
I love that.
Like, Daddy, I'm awake. Fuck this.
This is not what I expected. You're out. You're not aesthetically appealing.
And the really messed up thing is in the book, in the original book, he looked completely human. The only thing that was off about him was his eyes. That was literally it. He looked like a regular man otherwise.
Right, because he was regular person body parts. It was just a lot of seeming.
I see.
Yeah.
Hollywood had to get its hands on him.
Yeah, make him extra monstrous.
Unhuman.
Yep. Flat top head.
Yeah.
Big old go-go boots.
Yes. Yeah. For some reason, platform shoes. Like, he's probably tall enough.
You know what? The legs were probably not the same length. You know, they're legs, but not everybody's the same height.
It could be. That could be.
Yeah. Well, I would have thought Victor would have at least taken some consideration in making things out. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think so. He'd do a little more planning.
He's a greedy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking time to think.
I know I'll make the perfect man.
Okay. All right. Well, I think this is where we're going to have to leave it for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining. It was great to meet you too, Sean. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hope to have you on in future streams as well. It was
all right. You guys take care. You guys be safe.
All right.
You too.
You too.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Good night.
And I'll say goodnight to you as well, Trisha. Thanks again for being on. And have you guys figured out if you're doing Head Theory Friday potentially? I'm not able to do it tomorrow night. So.
Friday I have the current event stream.
Oh, the current event stream.
Okay. Yeah.
Should we just pick up next week? Or
if you want to, that's fine. Or if you have time over the weekend, that's fine too. Just let me know. Either way works for me. I'm
all right.
Yeah.
Let's chat. Maybe we can figure something out.
Okay. Sounds good. And thank you guys for having me back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look forward to next week.
Yeah. Love it.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me as well. As always, you know, you're gonna just before I even stop it. Fine.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I do what I want.
Bread Theory is a proud member of Left Single Goose TV on Facebook. If you're on Facebook still, and you're looking for a sane corner to take refuge in, I highly recommend. Well, no, come on, that doesn't help our movement at all. I highly recommend you go to Left Single Goose TV. Trisha is with For We Are Many. They are also a member of Left Signal Boost TV. You'll get notified of tons of different streamers. We have quite a few people that, sure, yeah, I'll let her know. So Natalie, it is, the next current event stream is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday. Trisha wanted me to let you know. So anyway, Left Signal Boost TV, all kinds of streamers post there regularly, as well as other sorts of creators. We have artists, we have comic book writers, we have debaters, video essayists, anything that you can think of, we have it. And if we don't have it yet, and you can provide that sort of leftist content for us, we're always looking for new members. There's an easy way to apply. You just go to the pinned post and provide a link to your content, and more than likely we'll bring you on board. So yeah, just can't recommend enough Left Signal Boost TV. It's been a lot of fun, and a lot of great collaborations have already come out of it, and many more to come. So thank you all for joining me, and we will see you then. I think my next stream is probably going to be, I'll probably do my Friday morning thing, play some video games and just kind of hang out and chat. So if you're into more of an even more casual thing, and you have some things you want to talk about that don't fit well into another stream, then that's the place to go. Saturday and Friday morning, doing more SJ Witcher, going through Witcher, trying to play as ethically as possible. And yeah, just hanging out and chatting. You're welcome, James. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Rain. Thank you, everyone who has been in the chat. Let's see. Oh, we don't have anyone on Twitch, so we're not going to do a raid tonight. But yeah, check out Left Signal Boost TV, and I will see you all Friday.